6 kinds of women to avoid dating or marrying. Listen, finding the right partner to share your life with is a dream for many. It's not just about companionship, it's about building a bond that nourishes your soul and adds meaning to your journey. In fact, as Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And in relationships, the person you choose will have a profound effect on your thoughts, actions, and overall well-being. You see, love is a beautiful thing, one of life's greatest gifts. But let's face it, not every connection is meant to last. And not every personality you meet is going to lead to a healthy and fulfilling relationship. In fact, some can drag you down a path filled with unnecessary chaos, leaving you questioning your worth and sanity. That's why today we're going to dive into the 6 types of women you should avoid dating or marrying. But before we get into it, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. This channel is all about empowering you with wisdom for your relationships and personal growth. Let's make better choices together. 1. The gold digger. You know exactly the kind of person I'm talking about. She walks into your life with charm and charisma, making you feel like you've struck gold. At first, everything seems perfect. She's attentive, complimentary, and always excited to be around you. But soon enough, you start noticing something. It's not your sense of humor she's praising. It's the car you drive. It's not your values she admires. It's the size of your wallet. Listen, there's nothing inherently wrong with appreciating nice things. Who doesn't want a partner who enjoys life's comforts? But here's the key difference. The gold digger's affection isn't about you, it's about what you can offer. Her interest in the relationship often feels transactional, and no matter how much you give, it never seems to be enough. The danger here is that this type of relationship lacks genuine emotional depth. You might find yourself constantly under pressure to provide in order to keep her attention. And when the flow of material gifts or financial support slows down, so does her interest. As Epictetus wisely said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The gold digger's wants are endless, and they will always outpace your ability to satisfy them. Here's another thing to keep in mind. This dynamic often leads to resentment. You'll feel used, undervalued, and emotionally drained because the relationship isn't built on mutual love and respect. It's built on what you can give. So, how can you spot a gold digger early on? Pay attention to where her focus lies. Is she more interested in who you are as a person or in what you can provide? Does she celebrate your achievements or only show up when there's something to gain? And most importantly, does she contribute to the relationship in meaningful ways, or does it feel one-sided? A healthy relationship is a partnership, not a transaction. Choose someone who values your time, energy, and character, not just your ability to swipe a card. Remember, true love is about connection, not collections. 2. The cheating woman. Remember once a cheater, always a cheater. Let's face it, cheating is one of the most devastating breaches of trust in a relationship. It cuts deep, leaving scars that are hard to heal. Relationships are built on the bedrock of honesty, loyalty, and mutual respect. And when cheating enters the picture, it shakes the very foundation of that connection. So, let's talk about the cheating woman and why it's so critical to recognize the red flags early. You see, cheating isn't just about physical betrayal. It starts with small actions that chip away at trust, flirty texts, hidden messages, secret meetups, or even emotional infidelity. At first, you might brush it off thinking it's harmless or it's just her personality. But listen, when someone continually crosses boundaries and justifies their actions without remorse, It's a sign of deeper issues that will likely lead to heartbreak. When a relationship is healthy, there's a flow of comfort, trust, and joy. You share laughter, dreams, and plans for the future. But the moment deceit enters the equation, it's like a crack forming in what seemed like unbreakable glass. And that crack doesn't just stay small, it grows. Whether it's a one-time slip or a pattern of infidelity, cheating undermines the bond you've worked so hard to build. Here's the kicker. Cheating isn't always obvious. A cheating woman might be skilled at covering her tracks, telling you everything's fine while secretly seeking excitement elsewhere. Or worse, she might gaslight you, making you feel paranoid for questioning her actions. And let me tell you, the emotional toll of this deceit can leave you feeling anxious, distrustful, and utterly defeated. Now, some might argue people can change. And while that's true, change is never guaranteed. The reality is, if someone doesn't value fidelity or doesn't take responsibility for their actions, it's unlikely they'll suddenly transform into a loyal partner. As Epictetus reminds us, he who sins against his conscience always lies. If she lies to you, chances are she's also lying to herself about the damage her actions cause. If you're seeing signs of cheating, it's essential to ask yourself some hard questions. Do you trust her words and actions? Does she take accountability, or does she make excuses? Are you constantly left questioning her loyalty? These are not questions you should have to grapple with in a healthy relationship. The truth is, no matter how strong your feelings are for her, a relationship built on shaky ground will eventually crumble. If she values the thrill of adventure over the stability of commitment, she's not ready to be the partner you deserve. As much as it hurts to walk away, it's far better than investing your heart in someone who doesn't respect it. You deserve someone who is all in, someone who shares your values and cherishes the trust you've built together. Relationships thrive when both people honor their commitments and strive to protect the bond they've created. Don't settle for someone who prioritizes fleeting moments over long-term loyalty. In the end, your emotional well-being matters. Trust is the backbone of any strong partnership, and if that trust is repeatedly broken, it's a sign to move on. Protect your heart, choose wisely, and remember, a love worth having is one where respect and faithfulness are never in question. 3. The controlling woman. At first glance, you might mistake her behavior for genuine care. She seems attentive, maybe even overly invested in your life. She checks in on you frequently, wants to know how you're doing, and always seems to have a helpful suggestion for your decisions. It can feel flattering at first, like she's deeply interested in you and your world. But as time goes on, this care begins to feel stifling, like she's holding the reins to your life instead of walking beside you as a partner. Listen, control in a relationship doesn't always look obvious. It might start small, with comments like, "Why do you always hang out with them?" or "I just think you'd be better off doing it my way." Slowly but surely it creeps into your daily life. She'll want to dictate where you go, who you talk to, how you spend your time, and even how you think. Here's the truth. A healthy relationship is built on trust, respect, and the freedom to be yourself. When control enters the picture, it erodes these foundations. You might find yourself walking on eggshells, afraid of upsetting her or facing her disapproval. Over time, this can leave you feeling trapped and powerless, as though your identity is being overshadowed by her need to dominate. Ask yourself, do you feel free to express your thoughts and make decisions without fear of judgment? Or do you constantly find yourself seeking her approval, even for things that should be entirely up to you? If the latter rings true, it's time to recognize the imbalance. You see, A controlling partner often disguises their behavior as looking out for you or helping you make better choices. But the reality is, they're undermining your independence. This isn't love, it's control wrapped in concern. And as Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. A controlling woman thrives on having the upper hand. She might isolate you from friends or family, criticize your choices, or dismiss your opinions as less valid than her own. This kind of behavior doesn't just chip away at your freedom, it also damages your self-esteem, leaving you doubting your own judgment. So, how do you spot a controlling woman early on? Watch for patterns of possessiveness. Does she get upset when you spend time with others? Does she insist on knowing every detail of your day? Does she try to correct or improve you, even when you haven't asked for her input? Here's the bottom line. Love isn't about control, it's about connection. A real partner will empower you to grow, not restrict you to fit into their mold. Life is too short to live under someone else's thumb, sacrificing your freedom and individuality to meet their demands. Take back your power. A strong relationship is one where both people can thrive as individuals while supporting each other's growth. Remember, as the Stoics taught us, your mind and choices are your own. Don't let anyone take that away from you, no matter how convincing their intentions may seem. Choose someone who walks beside you, not ahead of you with a leash. Life is meant to be lived fully, with a partner who respects and celebrates who you are, not someone who tries to reshape you into who they want you to be. 4. The drama queen. The drama queen. You see, her life is like a never-ending soap opera where the spotlight is always on her. Every minor inconvenience becomes a major spectacle, and even the smallest disagreement can escalate into a full-blown crisis. To her, life isn't just a journey, it's a stage, and everyone, especially you, is expected to play a role in her drama. Listen carefully. Relationships naturally come with challenges. That's part of growing together. But with the drama queen, even the mundane feels like it's spinning into chaos. A simple, "I had a busy day," might turn into, "You don't care about me anymore." A small misunderstanding. Suddenly, you're cast as the villain in her grand emotional narrative. Why does this happen? The drama queen thrives on emotional intensity. It's not just about solving problems, it's about feeling them in the most exaggerated way possible. Her highs are euphoric, but her lows? They'll drag you into an emotional storm that leaves you drained and questioning your own sanity. Here's the problem. While the drama queen might seem exciting at first, because let's be honest, her fiery personality can be magnetic, it quickly becomes exhausting. Imagine constantly walking on eggshells, never knowing what small thing might set off the next big scene. That's not peace, and relationships are meant to bring you peace. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The drama queen has turned her vivid imagination into your reality, a reality filled with unnecessary conflict, over-the-top reactions, and a lack of emotional stability. Over time, this chaos starts to chip away at your mental health. So, how do you spot the drama queen early on? Pay attention to her reaction to life's small inconveniences. Does she blow things out of proportion? Does she thrive on creating conflict rather than resolving it? And most importantly, does she make every situation about herself, leaving little room for your feelings? Here's the truth. A relationship with a drama queen is like being on a roller coaster without an end. The highs might be thrilling, but the constant emotional turbulence will wear you out. A strong, healthy partnership is about balance, understanding, and harmony, not a never-ending performance of what went wrong today. Take this to heart. When someone constantly brings drama into your life, they're not adding value, they're subtracting peace. Choose a partner who uplifts you, someone who turns life's challenges into shared growth rather than personal crises. Because, as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, take control of your peace and don't get swept into the drama queen's chaos. Life's too short to spend it in a storm you didn't create. 5. The Perpetual Victim. She's the type of woman who seems like life has dealt her the worst hand. Everyone and everything around her are the villains of her story, and she's perpetually cast as the helpless victim. At first, you might feel drawn to her vulnerability, thinking, I can be the person who changes her world. I'll show her not all people are bad. But listen carefully. This isn't just a rough patch or a series of unfortunate events. With the perpetual victim, it's a way of life. You see, the perpetual victim is someone who never takes responsibility for her own actions. When something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. Her boss, her friends, her family, or even you. No matter how much you try to comfort her or be a source of positivity, her mindset doesn't shift. Instead, she may even start blaming you for things outside of your control, leaving you in a constant state of guilt and frustration. At first, you might feel like the hero in her story. After all, who doesn't want to help someone in need? But over time, this dynamic becomes toxic. You'll notice that her stories of being wronged never seem to have an ending. It's as though she thrives on being the victim because it absolves her of accountability. Taking responsibility means facing her own flaws, and that's a step she's unwilling to take. As you spend more time with her, you may start to feel emotionally drained. Her constant negativity can weigh heavily on your spirit, and you'll find yourself spending more energy trying to fix her problems than focusing on your own growth and happiness. Seneca's words come to mind here. You are not disturbed by things, but by your interpretation of them. The perpetual victim chooses an interpretation of life that keeps her stuck in a cycle of despair, and she'll pull you into that cycle if you're not careful. So, how do you recognize the perpetual victim? Pay attention to how she talks about her past relationships, her work life, or her friendships. Does she constantly portray herself as the innocent party who was wronged? Does she ever acknowledge her role in conflicts or setbacks? Or does she always find someone else to blame? Another sign to watch for is how she handles feedback. If you gently suggest ways she might approach a situation differently, does she listen and reflect, or does she become defensive, shifting the blame back onto you or others? The perpetual victim often resists growth because it requires her to look inward, something she avoids at all costs. Here's the thing. Relationships are meant to be partnerships where both people take responsibility for their actions and work together to overcome challenges. When one person refuses to own their part in the relationship, it creates an imbalance that's difficult to sustain. Remember, it's not your job to rescue someone who refuses to rescue themselves. As Epictetus wisely said, no man is free who is not master of himself. The perpetual victim has yet to master herself, and until she does, she'll continue to cast blame rather than build a healthy partnership. Ask yourself, do you want to spend your life walking on eggshells, constantly reassuring someone who refuses to take control of their own happiness? Or do you want a partner who's willing to face life's challenges with you, sharing the responsibility and the rewards of a strong, balanced relationship? Choose wisely. A fulfilling relationship is one where both people grow together, not where one person shoulders the blame for someone else's unhappiness. Surround yourself with those who uplift and inspire you, not those who drag you down into their never-ending spiral of self-pity. 6. The emotionally unavailable woman. Finally, let's talk about the woman who keeps her heart behind walls so high that no matter how much love you give, it feels like you can never quite reach her. You see, this type of woman isn't inherently bad or malicious. Most of the time, her emotional barriers stem from past trauma, heartbreak, or fear of vulnerability. But here's the hard truth. No matter how much effort you put in, you can't build a fulfilling relationship with someone who won't or can't meet you halfway. The emotionally unavailable woman often avoids deep, meaningful conversations. She might shy away from discussing feelings or brush off serious topics with humor or deflection. You might find her pulling back just when the relationship starts to feel deeper or more intimate. It's like she's constantly afraid of letting anyone truly see her. Now, don't misunderstand. Everyone has their defenses. We all have scars and walls we've built to protect ourselves. But there's a difference between someone who's cautious yet willing to try and someone who refuses to even step into the emotional arena. The latter is the emotionally unavailable woman. What makes this dynamic so challenging is that it leaves you feeling lonely, even in her presence. You'll notice a lack of connection that words can't fully describe. It's as though you're giving and giving, pouring your heart into the relationship, but nothing ever seems to flow back to you. Over time, this imbalance can drain your emotional energy, leaving you frustrated, confused, and questioning your own worth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them." But with an emotionally unavailable woman, it can feel like you're staring at the stars alone, yearning for someone to run alongside you. She might physically be there, but emotionally she's distant, leaving you craving the intimacy and connection that a healthy relationship should naturally provide. How do you recognize the emotionally unavailable woman? Look for patterns of avoidance. Does she change the subject whenever emotions come into play? Does she keep conversations surface level, even when you try to deepen them? And most importantly, does she consistently find ways to avoid vulnerability, such as by prioritizing work, hobbies, or even friends over meaningful time with you? Another key sign is her reluctance to commit or take the relationship to the next level. She might say things like, "I'm just not ready," or "I need time to figure things out," but these statements often come without any clear effort on her part to work through her issues. While it's okay to need time, a relationship can't thrive if only one person is invested in creating a foundation of trust and openness. The truth is, no matter how much you care about her, you can't fix someone who isn't ready to heal or grow. It's not your job to tear down her walls, especially if she's unwilling to meet you halfway. Seneca reminds us, associate with people who are likely to improve you. The emotionally unavailable woman, despite her potential, isn't in a place to contribute to your emotional well-being or growth. So, what can you do? First, recognize that it's okay to want emotional intimacy in a relationship. It's not selfish to desire a partner who can communicate openly, share deeply, and build a connection that feels real and fulfilling. Second, don't fall into the trap of thinking you can save her. While support is important in any relationship, growth has to come from within. If she's not ready to let someone in, that's her journey, not yours to bear. Remember, a relationship is meant to enhance your life, not leave you feeling depleted or unworthy. Seek a partner who values emotional intimacy and is willing to work alongside you to create a bond that's rich, supportive, and meaningful. Life is too short to spend it knocking on a door that someone else refuses to open. Choose someone who chooses you fully and wholeheartedly, because in the end, a true partnership is built on mutual effort, vulnerability, and a shared commitment to love, not the lonely task of climbing walls someone else has built. Now, don't get me wrong, no one is perfect. We all have flaws, and part of love is accepting your partner for who they are. But when certain patterns of behavior consistently drain you, it's a sign that something's not right. The key is to recognize these traits early on, so you can steer clear of relationships that hinder your happiness and growth. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who inspire you to be the best version of yourself. Because at the end of the day, life is too precious to spend it in the wrong company. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. What other red flags do you think people should look out for in relationships? Let's keep the conversation going. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, take care of yourself and your heart.